multi-factor authentication. So passwords by themselves are often not enough, because somebody can sit in Russia or some equally nefarious place. I've got nothing against the Russians, and then spend their time trying to guess your password. And as long as they don't do it too often or too regularly, you'll never know, because in the background, the timings that we've got around how many tries we allow before we lock you out, etc., they know these settings and they use them to their advantage. So multi-factor authentication is just having another factor that you must have. Now, when we talk about multiple factors, these factors are the following. So the first factor, the one that you know, is a password, and it's something that you know, is how we describe it. Other factors would be something that you are, and that's the biometric side of life. So fingerprint, face, voice print, there's palm prints, those kind of things. So this is something that you are, and they have pros and cons as well. Something that you have, now this is something that you possess or have in your possession, like a key, and that's similar to the key to a door. But we have electronic keys, we have tokens, and you can even use your phone as an electronic token. There are more factors. Some of the very secure systems use who you're with, so it'll check to see whether the GPS location of another person is next to you. It can check to see if the GPS location is in a certain area, so where you are can also be a factor. So there's many more that they can add in, and obviously the more you add in, the more painful it is to try and approve a process like a payment or something, but the more secure the process is. The other things that can be used are things like SMS on a phone. So often the banks will send you an SMS and say, here's a PIN code, so log into your bank this way around. You just must be wary that SIM swaps can be an issue. More and more people have been able to clone SIMs or swap SIMs by hacking the telephone companies, and then they send a password reset to themselves, in essence, because they have a clone of your SIM. They get your PIN code, they can log into your bank. So SMS on phone, although it was quite secure, we look at it as slightly less secure than the next option, which is the Authenticator app on the phone. And there's many. You can get an Authenticator app from Microsoft, you can get one from Google, you can get third-party ones, and they're great. What they mean is that there's no SMS going back and forth and they can't clone your SIM. It's the application on your phone that's getting a push notification, and it's popping up a little message on screen from the actual application. So that's slightly better than SMS. Phone as a token is really not too bad. What we do find, though, is that some of these systems use Bluetooth. So if you're using your phone as your login token for Google, it's going to check from your laptop to your phone via Bluetooth if your phone is there. And often it'll put a little button on your phone to say click this, and you have to unlock your phone, click the button, that goes back via Bluetooth to your laptop and says great, he is who he is, you can continue. But Bluetooth these days is also vulnerable, so Bluetooth is also not the ideal way to do it, and often what we advise is if you are going to use it, switch off your Bluetooth when you're not using it. But again, the usability of that becomes a little bit of an issue. And then finally we've got YubiKey, and you'll see the picture of a YubiKey up here. I've put one on top here because not very many people are familiar with it. I have one of these. I have an example of the first one that I'm using, and it's a hardware key that I can plug in a USB port, touch that little button over there, and that card has an encryption mechanism inside of it. It sends out a token, and that logs me into the service. And I use it as a second factor, so I still have to put in a password and put in the token and touch the button. And the touching of the button is to ensure that you must physically be present next to that machine to do it. The two-factor authentication apps that you would get and load on your phone use something like this for the enrollment. So in a lot of services like Google, like Microsoft, when you go and set up two-factor authentication, you would download that app onto your phone. When you go through the setup process, it will typically put a QR code on screen like this example over here, and once it's scanned that QR code, it will start to put 6-digit pins on the screen of your phone, and you have to put that 6-digit pin back into the bottom field and click verify to actually enable the service. And from there onwards, every time you log in, it'll not only want your password, but it'll also ask you for that 6-digit PIN to log into the system. There are some multi-factor authentication management apps, just like the password management apps, that make your life a whole lot easier. And I'll do a whole video on some of the ones that I like and prefer.